Good morning. Welcome back to Random Thoughts and Channels by myself. Yesterday we talked about Aries season, trauma healing, integration, and self acceptance, things of that nature, being bold and courageous by accepting yourself. And today I wanted to talk about the void. The void! The scary void! Where nothing seems to be happening, where you're just stuck in like a stagnancy and it's an uncomfortable situation. So what we do is like we think, okay, let me shove some liquor into it, or let me shove weed into it, or let me shove another drug, or let me just shove things into it. Maybe you shove overachieving at a job into it, and then you're even more burnt out, and you're like, I don't understand. I still don't feel fulfilled because I thought that fulfillment came from accomplishments and success. But you're successful and you're still feeling like you're sitting in a state of void space. That's because the void isn't actually bad. What the void is a lackness, right? Like a nothingness. But with that, is there not a fresh blank canvas for you to then paint upon? But when we shove what we think we need into it, it just grows and becomes all-encompassing darkness. But if you just sit with it and talk with it and allow it to present to you your needs, you'll be surprised what it shows you. It could show you a need: walk around the block, play with toys, get a stuffed animal, watch a Disney movie, plant a potted plant, make a craft, read a book that has nothing to do with anything. It just looked interesting in the store. Random conversations with strangers, helping an old lady to her car with her groceries. Like, all these things just kind of like happen because you're in the scenario and you're like, oh, I'm useful here. Or, oh, that thing draws my attention. Or, oh, I feel intuitively led to this. That's the point of the void, is kind of for you to like stop trying so hard, and allow opportunities to attract to you. But that also means you got to get out. You got to move. Manifestation needs movement. And if you don't follow those little inklings that are like, let's just go down the street and watch like the geese patter around in that field down there. But then the logic comes in and it's like, well, that doesn't make me money. Doesn't make me friends. It doesn't make me this. Like, right. So then they say watching the geese is not valuable. However, what if upon walking down the road to go watch those geese, you bump into somebody that needed a friendly smile or a kind word of hello? What if that person becomes your new best friend for the rest of your life? Or what if you just see an animal on the side of the road that needed assistance? Or what if you start feeling emotional and begin to cry because you're just in such joy of just like the peace and stillness that is walking down to the park to go look at the geese? Like, and those are the moments that we need. That is fulfillment. To allow that inner world to be, to express, to be a part of the reality that we've created. What we do is we often create the reality with the masculine energy, create the safe space, we get the job, we get the security, we get the food, we get the interpersonal relationships that we need. And then we're like, cool, now to maintain that, we have to stay in that masculine mode and constantly be in control and meticulizing every little piece of our lives. So then why are you unhappy? So then why does that not work? Why do we get to midlife crises or have these moments of like, oh shit, this is the rest of my life? We get there because we don't learn how to just be, which is the feminine energy. We have both the yin and yang, masculine and feminine energy within us. And we are terrified as a society to just be. Because it doesn't make you money, it doesn't make you status, Doesn't make you power, but it makes you self-empowered. It makes you self-fulfilled, self-accepting. And when you have those things, you can then attain other things like that versus the power of attraction, not hunting it out for another thing to put onto your balancing board of responsibility. No. Just be. Fill the space that you've created with fulfillment. And fulfillment doesn't need a price tag. Fulfillment, example of a personal fulfillment I had recently. I was feeling stuck and a little foggy, clear-minded, getting a little frustrated, overwhelmed one day. So I asked my spirit, like, not my brain, I asked my spirit, what do we need to do right now? Because, like, I'm not doing well. And my spirit was like, talk to a friend, go for a walk, eat a home-cooked meal, get boba tea, play some bongos, like, make sure you listen to that reggae album, this specific one. So that seems like an insane thing, right? Like, what? Like, that's what I'm supposed to do right now to feel better? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But then I actually do those things, follow that, and halfway through, on the way back from the boba tea, I was in tears, smiling, but releasing all of this stagnant energy I didn't know I had blocked up in my system. And as I'm realizing this release, this energetic release that I needed, that came from just being, that's the release that I needed to be able to flow, to be able to accomplish in masculine mode. You need to also release and flow in feminine mode. So I started crying and I was like, yes, this is everything. And like I had the music on, I was in the car, like everything's good. Like the gratitude of the fact that I have a car. I walked for 7 years of my life, like an adult, alone, living on their own, having to walk to get anywhere, like groceries, doctor's appointments, jobs, like whatever it was. I was walking and taking that time to switch modes from the masculine do, accomplish mode to get into that feminine mode and just exist made me realize that gratitude and realize that this is it. This is all I need to be happy. Like, this is everything. And I was able to let go of those silly, not substance worthy frustrations and things I was getting all worked up over. I was like, wow, life is so much more simple than what we tend to make it out to be. And we miss these moments of gratitude when you're constantly in do, go, what can I accomplish? How can I make more money? How can I do this? How can I... Sometimes the answer is don't do shit. Just exist. Just be alone with yourself. Allow your inner world to speak to you. Allow that inner void to speak to you. When we ignore this and we suppress that and we just go, do, accomplish, we are only, it's like only lifting weights on one arm. So you're like, yeah, but then like give you a box that you need 2 hands for and you're like, oh, I can't do that. So how strong are you if you can't utilize both sides of your yin and yang energy? So I get stuck in masculine mode. I believe we all do. That's your beta alpha, your beta brainwaves, I believe. Your beta, your alpha's more of a rest. Your theta is like when you're praying and meditating. So like we get stuck in this beta, do, but that's like that's like, and if we don't take the time to slow down into a different frequency, you're missing out on all the different layers of what life really is, what you can really obtain from life, the colors, the rainbow that is life, because we're able to work inside of those layers of frequencies, because everything in life is a frequency, right? Everything is an electrical movement of vibration. So if you just live in one vibrational state, yeah, you're gonna start to freak out. You're gonna start feeling like everything's over, that life is it, like this is all I am now for the rest of my life. That's normal. But when you start to activate and tune in to all the layering waves, the symphony that is our tangible universe, and even because it is all tangible, even though you can't see it, because you can tap in by attuning your body frequency into these other unseen frequency waves. And then your eyes are like, whoa, there is so much going on just in this room. There is so much going on just outside that window. And I'm here for it. Like, fully immersed. If there's a cat outside, I'm going to go watch that cat, because I'm not going to trick myself into believing that just being is demonized. Yeah, that's America though, right? You're lazy for watching a movie. You're lazy for sitting in the yard, or you're lazy for not mowing your lawn every day. Like, no, that's how you get stuck in the one frequency tuning, and you are blind, willfully blind to everything else. All of the beauty, all of the magic. Magic is inside of mindfulness. If you learn how to become mindful, watch that feeling start to dissipate. That feeling of like, is this it? This is life, and I just repeat it till I die? Start being more mindful, because no, it's not just what you do every day as an accomplishment. Like, that's what we're going to trick ourselves into thinking. But in reality, you're not accessing all the different colors on the palette. You're just painting with gray and blue and black. Like, there's a multitude of colors. You need to learn how to access them. And it comes from listening to that inner world. What do you need from me today? Because you can still do that and accomplish in life. You can. You are the adult to your inner child now. So yeah, we got to do adulting, but it's equally important that my little inner child gets time to play with her toys and her stuffed animals and her like reset up her animal safari shit. Like, that's equally important to me, because within that I learned something about myself that I can then utilize to progress further in masculine mode. But when we sit in it and we think we know all the logic, like, oh, I'm gonna go on my phone a lot, the answer's on my phone, the answer's in my work, the answer's in my job. It's not. It's in the void that you keep trying to ignore or run away from or shove shit into. Sit with it. What's it telling you? I remember when I first started doing this practice, the first thing it told to me was go to Home Depot and get a plant. And I was like, this is before I was a plant person too. So I was just like, cool, that's, because typically before that, when I'd have thoughts like that, the other side of my brain would be like, yeah, well, that's not logical. We don't even like plants. Why would we do that? So we don't do it, right? Because we think we know everything. So instead, I'm like, no, we're doing a new thing. We're doing this, because I started sitting with that space, in that space that I was talking about, and I started feeling uncomfortable. So I was like, let's try something different where we don't counteract those thoughts and we actually do them. Because now I trust myself to listen to my spirit and not my addict mind or my traumatized mind. I can listen to here now. So when it was like, go get that plant, that's not the same as when it's telling me, like, what up here tells me, oh, things are hard, go get a drink. Different. Those voices are very different. This one's very supportive. So I went, I got the plant, and then this image came, paint markers, paint the pot that you're going to put the plant in, right? And I was like, all right, sweet, let's do that. So I get that, I get all this stuff, and then as I'm coming home, it's like, you should sit outside and do it. So now I'm outside painting this pot, putting this plant in the pot, and before you know it, hours had gone by, and I hadn't had one thought of fearing of my future, or worrying about the monotony of life, or getting hung up in my stressors and responsibilities, which I had a lot at that point, because I didn't know how to do this yet. So I had a lot of those things overwhelming me. And it was upon that realization that just this simple act of painting the pot and putting a plant in it and getting the dirt for it, it not only helped quiet my mind and help my frequency vibration, my personal frequency vibration, tap back into one of joy and bliss and enlightenment, like just like, oh yeah, this is great, and unconditional love, all from this potted plant situation. And then not only that, it then inspired future acts of plant lady activities. I now have a shit ton of plants. I love propagating plants. Now I'm learning about more about plants, and you're getting into the knowledge of it, and now it's a fulfillment. But how do you find that if you keep telling this, when it pops up an idea into this pops idea here, and you're like, I know better. Do you? Do you? Take the time. Take the time to find out if you do, Allow your heart to give you these messages. Your heart is the Google search bar. This has all the knowledge. It's like the iCloud. It's got terabytes of knowledge, okay? How do you filter and sort through all that? Because that's just there all the time. Like, right. So you need to go from here to access the ideas in here, not the other way around. Don't ignore this and put this first. Google search bar what you need. Let this then attach to this. You see what I'm saying? This is just a tool. This is you. So like, utilize your tools. Fulfillment has the letters F-U-N in it. Yeah. Have fun. Have fun with life. And you know what? It doesn't even have to cost money. It doesn't even have to cost money. You could be driving home from work, or you could be driving home from the grocery store, and you could see that field of geese, or see a field of birds, or cows grazing, or like deer, like whatever you see. For me, it's animals. That's why it's a lot of animal ideas. But it could be a cafe you want to try, which costs money, but back to the non-money ones. Park. Pull over and park. Talk to those cows. Why not? You'll be so interested to see how animals react to the sound of your voice. You want to know why? Because our voices resonate very similarly, the vibration, to that of Earth. That's why when you soothe a baby, or soothe an animal, or soothe people, and you use this tone of voice that's very consoling, that's why it works. You're healing people with your throat chakra. You're healing with your throat chakra because your throat chakra can mimic the vibrational frequencies of homeostasis Earth. So that's a side tangent. But, right, hang out with the animals. Maybe pop into that cafe, buy like a $2 thing. Like, don't go crazy, but sit there with a book or a laptop or just sit there, color, draw a picture, and then like meet people. Hey, what's up? What's going on? You don't have to become friends with everybody. You can literally sit in a coffee shop and talk to a stranger for an hour and a half, learn something about their life, and just go home. Like, you're allowed. And that could be just as fulfilling as riding a roller coaster or whatever we think we need, because like that's what we think when we get all hung up with like work and life, which is crazy. Why are you letting life become like work? But whatever. And then we get all hung up in it and we're like, we need to go on a vacation, and it needs to be extreme to make me feel better. But then you go on this extreme vacation, you come back and you're like, I need a vacation for my vacation. Right, because that wasn't the answer. Sorry. Wasn't the answer, bro. The answer is a lot simpler than that. What can you do in your everyday life to create a balance between masculine and feminine energies of doing, accomplishing, and just being, and watch the magic happen when you do that? We don't want to have a life we need to escape from. That's like the ending to this tunnel vision, light at the end of the tunnel thing is death. Like, that's what that light is. Like, it's death. So, like, what are you waiting for to happen? What change are you waiting for? Because you're responsible for creating that change. And it comes from listening to that inner empty space. That space won't be empty forever. You got to let what's inside of you start painting the walls of where you live. Right now, you built a great house, but like all the walls are white. Paint them. Paint them with the desires of your heart, with what your intuition is saying that you need to be fulfilled. And hey, that's even an idea. Paint, mural. You don't need to be perfect at stuff. It's not the point. The point is for self-expansion. The point is for self-fulfillment. Yeah. And I'm not saying you need 1,000 hobbies. I went down that road. I thought that was the answer. It's not, because like eventually you're like, I don't always want to have to make a mess just to like feel good. You don't. I'm telling you, it's simpler than that. It's great to have hobbies, but it's also great to just like listen to the void. Stop thinking you know where you're going to go next. Oh, I know that once I'm done this activity, I'm going to reward myself with my hobby. Now you're just in masculine mode again. Just exist. Just be. Here's the practice. You sit still, right? Sit still. Get grounded. Visualize roots even growing out from you. Something that's really going to anchor you to the ground. Like, see those roots growing into earth. Like, now you're like stable. You're sturdy. You sitting. Like, you're just being at this point. Because you're visualizing yourself anchored. Now you're anchored. Ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I, inner me, need today? Now, let it flood with ideas. And then, take your to-do list, move something that doesn't actually need to be accomplished today. Not everything's a priority, by the way. I know, shocking. And put in one of the things that popped up from the void. Do this, I say every other, you know. If 3 ideas came to you and that's a lot, just do one amidst your to-do list. But the goal is to eventually have the to-do list also be riddled with mindfulness and like just being moments. Because when you sporadically break it up like that, or consistently break it up like that, you actually do better in your accomplishing aspects of life after periods of stillness. Because not only are you being still and listening to the fulfillment that you need and the ideas that you need for self-fulfillment, you're also giving yourself time to observe everything your brain has recorded since the last time you were still. So that means, like, oh my gosh, did I have that conversation in a way that wasn't very dialectically effective? Do I need to work on my dialectical behavior skills? I don't really like how I made that person feel. Let me think about this. Or how that person presented this to me kind of upset me. I didn't really like that because, and that leads you to another thought that you didn't know you had buried in there. Oh, I didn't like that because that's something that used to happen to me when I was a child, and I feel I've grown out of that, and now that it's happening again, I feel triggered. Like, this is the point of stillness, not only for that like fun idea, what I need to do next for a self-fulfillment activity, but it's also like taking the time to look. I call it confetti. It's like, it's all shredded up when you're just soaking in shit all day, right? It's just like pieces and pieces and pieces, and you're also doing other stuff, so it's just kind of piling in there. And then I like to take time, at least 2 times a day, to sit with that confetti pile and put the pieces together and then read what it has to say and be like, oh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Or, ooh, I really like that one. Let me go to my prefrontal cortex and file that away so I can use that later when another experience or situation happens. So if you don't do that periodically, the confetti just keeps piling. And it's these glimpses and images of what the full message is. It's not the full message. So that's when we start doing reactive stuff. That's when we start reacting to things. When someone says something and we get offended and we're like, brrr! And then we're like, I don't even know I was offended. Because if you put the confetti pieces together, you realize that you're offended because your mom or dad or whatever, or some best friend years ago said something insulting, and now it's happening again here, and you need to be able to set a boundary here, not freak out. Like, this is a time for taking what you learned from your past and putting it into practice with a boundary so that you can then grow and move forward. So if you don't take time to sit with the confetti pile, you're only going to have little pieces of the message. It's like It's like a code, and you don't get the full code, and then you're just like reacting off of half a code, and it's all take the time, sort through your own shadows, sort through your confetti, ask the void what you need, like sit with that inner world. It's super scary at first. It is, but then once you do it, you're like, oh, the only thing that was in there was like my inner child, and it's been begging me for pancakes. Like I should just do that. Like I should just have pancakes. Try it. You got this. Just be. Start in increments of like a couple minutes. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to be a guru monk overnight. Like you're good. Like just take time to sit with that. Sit with yourself and ask yourself those questions and put your confetti pieces together and learn those messages. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll be back with another.